Welcome to the Indian Sun. I'm Indira Lystrom. My guest today is Liza Pavlakos, someone who knows about challenge and opportunity. Recognized as the ninth female speaker in the world, she's a motivational speaker who helps individuals and corporate organizations to overcome challenges and transform their challenges into life tools and skills. Liza has worked with Fortune 500 companies, presenting her inspirational keynotes about mental resilience and leadership. She is the first Indian woman in the world to be the recipient of the prestigious Toastmasters Golden Gavel Award for 2021. Welcome, Liza, to the show. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. The pleasure is all mine.
Liza, your life story is amazing. It is powerful. You've gone through so much in life, from domestic violence to rape to homelessness. Can you share with us some of your stories and tell us what has led you to where you are today?
Yes, sure, not a problem. My journey began many years ago. From the age of 6, I was a product of child abuse. I was raised by a wonderful Malaysian Indian family, my mom and dad. We come from an Islamic background. And I don't think necessarily it's an Islamic thing or it's an Indian thing, it's an Asian thing, because sexual abuse, domestic violence doesn't care about gender, race, or socio-economic background. In my life, my parents tried their very best to raise me, take care of me, do whatever it is that I needed, but they were also equally really hardworking parents and very trusting people as well. And so whilst they were at work, naturally they trusted me and left me in the care of my uncle, who would come to stay with us sometimes. And during those times, my uncle would do things to my body that no child should have to endure. This was very catastrophic for me because, and for anyone that goes through child abuse at a young age, because that is the foundation of how you perceive life. You know, you perceive life growing up as an adult, of not understanding healthy boundaries, not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to protect yourself. And because even though I tried to address with my family what was happening, they didn't know how to manage it the way that they probably should have managed it. And so the abuse was swept under the carpet, and that was even worse for me as a child growing up. By the time I was 14, unfortunately, I was abused once again. This time I was raped by my cousin. And that was really difficult for me because, of course, when I went to my parents to try and get help, to try and get support, they really just didn't know how to handle it. I think it was really shocking for them and also somewhat unbelievable for them because they couldn't believe that people that they trusted and loved could do this. And sometimes I think it's not that people don't actually believe you. Maybe their brain just can't process it enough to be able to address the situation, so it's better not to handle it. So my parents did not handle it, and that left me in a place where I was completely broken, unhappy, and my life changed because from the age of 15, I just wanted to end my life. And I tried a few times to take my life at a very young age, and fortunately it was not successful. And I'm glad that it wasn't, because here I am today. But at the age of 16, I ran away from home because I just couldn't bear living at home anymore. And it wasn't easy running away from home because I was leaving the comforts of my family home, comforts of my mom's cooking, the security, the financial security, and thinking that I could create a better life for myself out in the big bad world. Things actually got worse for me. One, I entered into a relationship at the age of 17 with someone who was very violent with me because I had no healthy boundaries. I didn't know how to stop it. I thought like everything was my fault at 17. I felt that also I was deserving of that kind of abuse, right? Because, you know, when I looked back, it was like mum wasn't supportive, dad wasn't supportive. Well, why would this person care for me and want to treat me well? So I felt like everything was my fault. When I was 18 years old, he punched me so badly in my face that I had to have the right hand side of my face reconstructed. And I remember sitting in Monash Hospital, eating food out of a straw and thinking, you know, maybe I could have a better life and maybe I could find the courage to run away again, this time from this dysfunctional relationship. And so I did. Found all the courage that I could to break up with this relationship, find hope again, start a new life for myself, and enrolled into school. And I thought life was picking up for me and that life was going to be good from now on because I was the master of my destiny. But unfortunately for me, one day while I was walking home from school, I was headhunted or stalked by someone who had very bad intentions for me. He told me that I could be a model for a Nike campaign. And because I really wanted money and I really wanted to believe in dreams, I thought that maybe, this could be a dream come true, but it wasn't. He ended up kidnapping me and taking me away to a place that I did not recognize because I was completely traumatized. And he had abused me for many hours, and at those final hours, he asked me to recite my last rites before he was about to murder me. The whole story is coming out in a book. My novel is called Voiceless No More, and it will be out in April 2022 in bookstores around the world and online. And you'll be able to get the full version there. But, having that kind of adversity take place in your life, really, you feel like a worthless animal. You feel like you don't belong anywhere, that your life doesn't matter. I was quite fortunate to have survived this abduction, and this perpetrator was caught. But unfortunately for me, even though it was heard in the Australian court system, he got away with his crime because money sometimes has the power to buy freedom, and it bought his freedom. And I was completely broken, completely beaten, completely feeling like life was not worthy of living, and desperate for love. I remember going to my mom and saying, "Mom, I've been kidnapped. Have a look at this newspaper article." And my mother was so traumatized, she couldn't even look at the newspaper article. My father didn't even want to talk about it. And it was like I did not matter. It's like it was if I was making up everything. But I hadn't made up one thing because there was so much evidence to prove what had happened. Because even as the kidnapper was caught, the police was involved. There was a high-speed police car chase. It was a sting operation. I had friends that were there that witnessed this. And so then to have the community around you make you feel as if none of this existed made me feel like I was going even more crazy and made me even more desperate. So much so that I was so vulnerable that I went back to the violent relationship, the guy who had broken my face, because I just was so desperate for love and affirmations. He didn't change his way, and his violence continued. And at the age of 21, he left me as a single parent. My son Adam was born, and I was a child raising a child. And I did not have an income. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything steady in my life. But one thing I did have was my son, who is my savior, is the guiding light of my life. Because he made me realize that, if anything, he loved me and he needed me. And so I was going to change my life for the better. And so at the age of 21, with zero startup, no money in the bank, I had come up with a business idea to launch the first Miss India International Beauty Pageant. And some would think, well, why would you want to run Miss India Beauty Pageant? Well, for me, I felt, especially coming from an Asian community, Indian community, I mustn't be the only girl who had a story to tell. There must be other girls going through some kind of adversity. So what if I brought all these girls together and we could put on a show and inspire the audience, but most importantly, inspire ourselves. The first show turned out to be a massive success, and it had 4,000 people attend my show. And before you knew it, by the age of 23, I was a self-made entrepreneur, and that was the first time I had tasted hope and dreams, and I knew that my life was going to change forever. It wasn't long after Miss India International Beauty Pageant that I had then had an opportunity to take over a failing cafe. And I was very blessed to take on this opportunity. And straight after that, I had this amazing customer walk in to my restaurant at that time, the cafe at the time, and that customer became my husband. We had 4 further children, and I went into his business to diversify. And he's a tailor, and so I'd gone in and expanded his tailoring business with him. Wasn't before long, we had 5 children, 5 stores, and life seemed like it was going really well. But if I was being really honest, it wasn't going so well, because no matter how much money you make in this world, if you're not happy, you're not happy. And I was definitely not happy, because I knew that I might have been good at business and to take a brand and to take it from one thing to another, but I wasn't living my life's purpose. And so about 6 years ago, I had embarked on a journey to share my story, to inspire other people, and to become a keynote speaker. So here we are today.
Now your story is so powerful and so amazing. I know you had another episode in 2017 where you went on a speaking assignment to a foreign country and you were kidnapped. That really makes your story a survivor's, tale. Now, can you tell us what went through your mind at that time?
Yes, it wasn't just myself. I was with 2 other people. I was with an assistant and our cameraman, and we had a driver. We were on transit in the Middle East. We were supposed to go to our destination in Nigeria, but we had a very long stopover. And, we just wanted to explore. We wanted to look around Middle East, and it was just exciting to be there. We had a driver, and unbeknownst to us, our driver was a human trafficker, taking us to meet terrorists. We had no idea that our driver was taking us to this destination. And we were very, very, very blessed. And I can safely say, whether you believe in God or not, I believe in God. And I believe that God intercepted that day, because we were very blessed, because military intelligence came at the right time, in the right space, and intercepted. And so from going from one place to the desert to be human trafficked by human traffickers, we ended up instead going and being detained in jail in the Middle East to prove that we were not Australian and American spies. And that was hard, because to have your passports taken off you, to have your phones taken off you, to know that you have to board another flight, or the fact that you might not even be able to go home, and to know that I was leaving 5 children behind, that was really difficult. And not only that, it wasn't just my life at risk. I had 2 other people's lives were at risk, and I felt so bad that we were in this predicament together. But we're very lucky again, because the military intelligence were absolutely phenomenal. They really took care of us. They did their due diligence, and they found out and found evidence of more than 350 people that were murdered. And They had footage, they had everything they needed to prove that, well, that was our fate, that was going to be our fate, but it wasn't our fate, and we survived. I felt like that experience changed my life, because perhaps maybe the universe was talking to me in a way that, well, Liza, you've been talking about what it's like to go through domestic violence, what it's like to go through kidnapping, entrepreneurship, but let's talk about what's actually going on a global scale and human trafficking. It's hard to talk about something unless you've experienced it. And to have that experience was a very difficult experience. It caused a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder for me. I spent many months crying. I spent many months traumatized. But now looking back, it's made all of us that were involved a lot stronger. And especially at a time like this, with the global pandemic in place and we're in lockdown in Melbourne with our family, makes us look back and think, you know what, we're so happy to be at home and be with our families. So yes, we are survivors, not just myself, my team and we are all survivors, and we're very blessed. Yeah.
I read somewhere that you still suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. So how do you deal with it?
Well, I have a wonderful team of support that I work with, that helps me so that I can debrief after every keynote, debrief after every session that I work with someone, because that's really important to be able to communicate. But also what I have done is change the narrative of my story. Yes, I was a victim, but I'm no longer a victim. In fact, now I'm psychological first aid. By doing this interview today, by being able to touch the lives of so many people that have the opportunity to read about my story or watch the story, that's psychological first aid. That's being able to help so many more people, to come out and own their stories, whatever their stories are. So I've been able to change the narrative of my story. I'm no longer a victim. I'm now a victor, and I'm proud, to have come this far. But also what I have done is I've developed a very simple tool, and that tool is post-traumatic stress disorder. Rather than being PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I've now changed P to be purpose, T to be trust, S to be success, and D to represent discovery. Because in life, no matter what we go through, it's really important to have purpose in life. And your purpose is your calling, what makes you happy, right? And trust. Bad things happen to all of us, not just me. It happens to you, it happens to everyone, right? And we have to learn to not only trust ourselves, but trust people around us, because there are lots of bad people in this world, but there's also equally millions and billions of good people in this world. Success. It's important to be able to dream, have a dream and manifest a dream. And if you believe in success, then success will come your way. Lastly, D for discovery. I think it's so important to put your fears aside and take the courageous step to ask for help when you need help. Because when you, can look past your fears and work on the things that you need to work on, you discover a new you. So that's my take on PTSD, and that's what I do for myself and for others.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, as founder of Positive Breakthroughs, your company, and you deal with a lot of psychologists, mental health experts to help people overcome mental health problems. During the time of COVID particularly, I would like to know what your advice would be with, to people who are leading complicated lives or are really struggling with mental health.
I think it's important to touch base with your spirituality, whatever your spirituality is, whatever. If you don't believe in any kind of religion, then get in touch with mindfulness, right? Spirituality is, I think, being mindful, being calm, being able to look at the positives rather than negatives. So for me, I think the most important thing is spirituality. I'd lie if I was saying it's something else, because to me, that's the foundation of everything, to be able to be mindful of the things that you can be, you can find hope in, rather than just focusing on hopelessness and negativity. So what I always advocate for is find what your spirituality is, whatever that is, mindfulness, breathing exercises, just being able to have that space of calm, to think, during this lockdown, what in my life do I want to change? What do I want in my life that I can keep? What new ways can I, change my business direction, or what new jobs can I apply for? There's always an opportunity if you see opportunities, but if you see negativity, then there's always going to be negativity. That's what I believe.
I would imagine your speaking engagements to be very powerful. I know that some of your speaking engagement highlights have been winning the Golden Gavel Award. I mean, the second Indian after Deepak Chopra, right?
Yes.
Do you talk about success and also the ingredients of a successful person?
I talk from the heart. I talk from my soul. I speak from what inspires me. I don't focus so much on success, money. I don't do any of those things, because I feel like what makes you happy, right? That's what I want to talk about. What's going to make you happy? Because when you're happy, then everything else around you will change. You can't be unhappy and then have a happy home, have happy children, have a happy husband, have happy business, So the core is you have to get in with what makes you happy first. Once you can identify that, figuring out your purpose, then things will change. So I talk about the foundations of leadership, because it's all about self-leadership first, And I also obviously talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, because I think everyone in this world has some level of adversity and challenge. The global pandemic has brought PTSD to millions and millions of people around the world. And so I talk about changing the narrative. And then I also talk about how you become what you want to become, or how you overcome your challenges and then become the version of yourself that you want to be, simply by being able to tap into the things that you have to overcome. So yes, it's all about mental resilience and leadership, but success starts with finding out what brings you joy.
Now, Liza, just before we end, I had a question in mind, considering that this knowledge will be of importance to our viewers. You left home at 16, you became a single mother at the age of 21. What was the kind of support system you had? And do you think mentor relationship is important?
I had a wonderful best friend. She's still my best friend today. She's been my rock. She's been my pillar of strength. She has been with me every step of the way. I'm so blessed to have her in my life. So yes, someone that gave me a lot of comfort when I needed it. For an example, there was a time when I was beaten so badly, and the father of my child had taken me, picked me up and thrown me into a panel of glass. And I remember sitting on the floor, screaming and crying and rocking back and forth and just screaming into a complete nervous breakdown. But miraculously, she had happened to come in at the right space at the right time. And all she did was pick me up, put me on her lap, and just stroke my hair and just say, "Shh, it's okay, I'm here, it's okay. Jocelyn has been one of the best things in my life, but similarly, I've had other friendships that also came into my life, and they're still such amazing friends. I think mentor relationships are so important. But then when I talk about business, mentor relationships it's crucial. I wouldn't be the speaker that I am today had I not crafted, the skill. And you can only craft the skill by speaking to other speakers who have walked the walk before you. So I think in any relationship, mentor relationship is the most important, whether it's a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, a friend, or someone who is in business that you can look up to, because we don't know it all. But for me, if you ask me, my biggest mentor would have to be God. And that everything that I do in life, I want to make sure that I am doing it with full heart, with full kindness, with full integrity and honesty. So for me personally, spirituality has been my biggest mentor.
Thank you, Liza, for sharing your story. It was really, really inspiring. Is there any last word that you wanted to add that would be of value to our audience?
I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you, for interviewing me today. I feel very blessed and feel very proud as an Indian woman to be on Indian Sun in Australia. So thank you so much. And I just would like anyone that's hearing this story to know that, this life was not meant to be easy for anyone, right? It's filled with trials and tribulations. But what we need to do is make sure that we understand that we are not alone, that there's always opportunities out there. I've got something really exciting to share as well, positive breakthroughs. We're looking to expand globally. And so if there's any coaches or counselors and executive coaches that want to come on board and partner with us, we're developing that. And there's lots of exciting ways that you can improve your life. And whether it is to join Positive Breakthroughs because you can impact someone else's life, or to just impact someone through the business that you're already doing, the work that you're already doing, there is opportunity always. So that's all I want to say.
Okay, on that positive note, bye then. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you soon.